Welcome to If You Can't Take the Heat. This is our first edition on YouTube. New location, same host. I'm Jordan Capozzi, and I'll let you do this.
I'm Josh Rodriguez.
Great to have you, as always. And what's not so great is the Miami Heat's record right now. 2-2. That's not what I'm worried about. I mean, we beat the Magic, we beat the Kings, both 108-96, what we were expected to do. Now, here's my problem. We lost to the Spurs, but we also lost to the Hornets, who are 3-1. I am not okay with the Hornets having a better record than the Heat. I know the Hornets aren't a bad team, but as a Heat fan, I expect better. I had them at 50 wins before Bosh got hurt. So, I mean, I don't think that highly of the Hornets. They have some good pieces, but
they also tied the Heat last year with in record with their records, but the Heat got worse, and I personally think the Hornets only got better because of how young their team is. They got Gilchrist back. They lost Jefferson, but Jefferson was usually hurt for the most of the season last year. But they got Roy Hibbert, who's usually a consistent player. So I personally think that the Hornets got better.
They did. I don't know. Maybe it's just me not being able to get used to the fact that the Hornets are good. I don't know. I feel like they're from Charlotte. They're not allowed to be good. So maybe it's just that stigma that's messing with me. I'm just gonna have to accept they're a good team, but I will be very upset if they finish ahead of the Heat in the standings regardless. Now, 2-2 through the first 4 games. There are some injuries, obviously. So Richardson's out right now, Ellington's out right now, and McRoberts. But just looking at what's going on with the team in total. Dragic, leading scorer right now. He's averaging 20 and 7 assists. We all knew this was going to be a big year for him coming in. I was honestly, me and I think a lot of people were thinking, like, if Dragic didn't do well this year, then, I mean, it's a failed experiment, and I think you almost have to try to get rid of him no matter how hard it might be. But he has 20 and 7. He's playing well. Whiteside also is averaging almost 20 a game, 20 and 14. 14 boards a game, 3 blocks like we expected, shooting 60% from the field. Not often you see a player shoot better from the field than the free throw line, but Whiteside's at like 52% right now, so it doesn't look like his free throw woes are going to improve.
If you think that Andre Drummond's the best player center in the East, Whiteside, he's averaging 16 and 16, and Whiteside's averaging 20 and 14. So it'll be interesting to see if Whiteside becomes an all-star this season based off of those numbers.
Yeah, true. And I mean, if there's no better season for him to break out than this season, I mean, just got that contract, so the Heat are trusting him. Wade's gone, so I mean, as odd as it sounds, this Whiteside kind of came out of nowhere for me, even as a Heat fan, and the first I heard of him was this young, lengthy guy trying to get his 2K rating up. And, I mean, he's the face of the franchise now. And we'll see how he grows. But right now, 20 points a game. My question to you about Whiteside is, do you think 20 points a game will be enough to be the leader of the team? Because Dragic can score 20 a game, but in all-around character, production, minutes, just importance to the team, I think Whiteside's the leader.
Yeah, but if you only have Whiteside and Dragic, basketball's a team sport.
Of course.
Everyone else has to step up. Like, you don't really have anyone else on the team that seems like they could take up the role of scoring points other than those two. So we'll see if when Richardson comes back, how much better he is, how much work he put in off the offseason. Winslow's been playing a lot of minutes this year.
Yeah, almost 36, or 30, almost, I believe 36, 37.
Yeah, I want to say he's able to defend all 5 positions, maybe not well, but like he's going to get better.
Of course. See, this is his second year, right? I mean, Winslow, he's obviously a good player. My main issue is Winslow I really can't even tell what position he is. I believe he's like a 6'9" small forward or 6'8", around there, between 6'7" and 6'9". But, I mean, the other big men on that team, obviously Willie Reed, he's been playing great. Third on the team in player efficiency rating. He has over 20. Only second is Dragic, first is Whiteside. But, I mean, Reed, Whiteside, that's pretty much all we got. I mean, James Johnson, he can get some boards, but he's still a small forward. McRoberts, I never really thought of him as a huge rebounder. I mean, I believe he was second at one point. I think he was second on the team. Like, he had the second most assists out of any of the players on the team. I believe did he play preseason? I believe he played, no? No, I don't know. The preseason was a blur. No one pays attention to that anyway. But I know has more assists, at least for his position, than rebounds anyway. In ratio, how many you should have. You'd think he would be getting more rebounds, less assists, but I mean, he's just not rebounding enough. I don't think he can be the second best rebounder on that team. And when he comes back, he's got to step in, because right now we have Babbitt playing some power forward, and he's a sharpshooter. I don't know. I just think we need another player to step up and get some boards. No one else has more than 6 a game.
I've always looked at McRoberts as like a pick and pop kind of guy. I feel like he's like a 5 rebounder game type of player, but yeah, he has a really nice mid range. Can get to the basket really well. But like, I agree with you. I don't feel like if once he comes back, he's gonna help the Heat that much. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, you know that you have some rebounding problems when Goran Dragic, Goran is no Rondo, no Westbrook, not one of those rebounding point guards, but he's averaging about 5 a game. That is, he's top 5 on the team in per game. And obviously Willie Reed, he hasn't been playing that many minutes a game, but like, I mean, 3.8 a game is what he's averaging. Maybe if we did per 36 minutes, it would be a little bit more even. But, I mean, the minutes you're playing per game are the minutes you're playing per game. The production you're getting is the production you're getting. And we're not getting enough production from in the paint for rebounds, on the boards, off the glass. We're not getting production. And you need it, especially this is just the beginning of the season. We need some tough rebounders when the playoffs come. So we're going to look for McRoberts to get back and hopefully improve that. One player who I hoped would be big this year and maybe help out was Haslam, who, if you remember, we had that segment for Haslam, entrepreneur himself, but he has a negative PER. I'm a very sarcastic person. I'm not being sarcastic. His PER is negative 0.3 right now. That's atrocious. You know, I can't even keep talking about the Heat after that. I can't talk about the Heat after that. 2-2, playing the Raptors right now, and they squandered an early first quarter lead. At halftime, at the moment, they're down 52-46, so we'll see how that fares out. But enough about, well, kind of about the Heat, but the division. So right now, the Hawks are leading that division. Tied with the Hornets, I believe, 3-1. And Washington and Orlando, they're not going to be competitive. Let's be real. I think Orlando, honestly, I don't think their starting lineup's that bad, but no real bench production. And, I mean, Washington, I don't even know. I mean, I always thought Otto Porter was going to be decent. John Wall and Bradley Beal, for a while, people thought they were the best backcourt in the East. I mean, remember that big argument. But, I mean, they haven't won a game. That's just not good, and John Wall can't do it all the whole season. And Bradley Beal, he also he didn't play a full season last year. I think he missed a considerable amount of games. So if Wall gets injured, what do they even have?
That Beal signed a huge contract over the summer this year. I agree with you. I don't think he's been putting up the points that people thought he would be putting up. And then he had problems with John Wall the past couple of years because people didn't think that they could work together because they always used to fight on the court. I don't think that's been a problem this year, but they haven't also, like the Magic, don't have that very good of bench production. Todd's like a consistent center.
Yeah, Wizards and Magic are both just, they're seller teams.
Yeah.
So just predictions right now. Right now it's Hawks and Hornets tied, and then the Magic and Wizards in the bottom. You think it's going to stay that way? You think any of those teams are going to jump? Obviously, it's 4 games into the season, but at least for me, that looks like it's going to be about standard. We disagree. You think the Hornets are a pretty good team. I just can't get used to Charlotte being good. So I personally at least hope the Heat are going to slide up to second in the division. But I think the Hawks are only going to get better now that Howard's there. Howard and Millsap are going to be just a crazy duo. And I think the Hawks win that division. They wouldn't have if Bosch were playing. I don't care what anybody says. I had them, like I said, I had them as a 50-win team with Bosch. But
I'm a huge Pat Riley fan. I could definitely see him make a move at the trade deadline like they did for Joe Johnson.
Yeah.
So, and Joe Johnson was a big reason why they won the games, a bunch of the games that they did.
Oh, absolutely.
So we'll see if Pat Riley has a trade in mind to try and get some, like most likely a veteran to try and help them win a little bit more games than they're expected to this season.
Yep. Who do you think they trade if they do?
I don't know. I think it's too early to tell.
Okay.
I could definitely see them trying getting a player from a bad team.
Yeah.
Trying to make a playoff push, maybe for like 7 seed, 8 seed.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, in all honesty, let's be real. I don't think there's a single person who's not predicting the Cavs to come out of the East. Like, I mean, it's just academic at this point. Only undefeated team in the league. I could talk about the Heat all day, but while we're on the Cavs, only undefeated team in the league. Before last night, the Thunder were also undefeated. Russ was going bonkers. The night before that game, they beat the Clippers on the road. Russ was the only player on that team who scored in double digits, and they pulled out a win against Paul and Griffin. I mean, I don't know if that's a testament to Westbrook's ferocity and determination, or just that the Clippers aren't playing well, but I mean, a win's a win, but they're not undefeated anymore.
I agree with you. A win's a win, but the weird thing about that game was neither of the teams scored more than 90 points.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if the entire Thunder team was just told to just play defense and have Westbrook do all the offense. I don't know. But then again, like, I agree with you. I don't know what's going on with the Clippers. Like, that should have been a game that they should have won at home, like you said.
I mean, yeah. I mean, do you think they should have won even if the Thunder had some help, or do you just mean like because nobody else scored? Because I know I've seen some people think that Westbrook can carry the Thunder, and some people just think that they can't. How do you feel about that? Do you think that a team such as the Clippers, who have a good coach, obviously, and 2 stars, do you think that team is better than the Thunder? I think they're a perfect team, or do you think that Westbrook's just that good?
I actually don't think that Westbrook is. I mean, Westbrook's an MVP caliber player. I don't think he's that good to lead a team.
Really?
Because that was shown 2 years ago when Durant was hurt and Westbrook had the chance to lead the Thunder to the playoffs, which he didn't do.
I mean, at the same time, though, like, who else was there besides Westbrook?
That is true.
Now that they got Oladipo, it's kind of different, but...
Yeah, I just don't feel like Westbrook... the way he shoots, I feel like he's kind of like careless when he gets to the rim. He does have some really nice finishes, don't get me wrong, but then he also has some really bad misses.
Yeah.
I feel like the misses get hindered by all the nice shots that he makes. So, but I agree with you though. It's only 4 or 5 games into the season. There's still a lot more left to play. So I'm excited to see what Westbrook has in store.
Westbrook's going to be... Westbrook's obviously, him and Anthony Davis, who we're going to talk about in a little bit, are him, Anthony Davis, and Kawhi, I'd say, are top 3 MVP right now. And I didn't include LeBron just because Kyrie's having a breakout season, so LeBron's not going to have to do as much. And I think they're going to be resting him at the end of the year, too. I think they're going to pull away. But
I think if, depending on how well the Pacers do, Paul George might be an MVP caliber player.
Okay, I didn't, especially with the emergence of Miles Turner.
Yeah.
That's really going to help him out. He's averaging 18 points, 9 rebounds, and 3 blocks right now. So, I mean, he kind of came out of left field last year, but a lot of people, it's not really a surprise this year. After how he played at the end of last year, this is kind of continuing what he was doing. He's building off of it, which is good to see.
Yeah, yeah. And I feel like if Paul George is a player that can average 25 a game, they could possibly be the 2 or 3 seed in the East. So.
Oh, I believe I thought the Pacers were I think they're the clear favorite to be the Cavs' biggest opposition. I mean, they made a huge acquisition of Jeff Teague, massive. That is huge to replace Hill. They got Teague, they have Turner, they have George. Those are 3 great players, especially if they keep playing like that. CJ Miles off the bench. They have a lot of great pieces, and they're going to be a fun team to watch this year, especially when Stuckey gets healthy. That'll just add another dimension of scoring.
And they signed Al Jefferson too this offseason.
Yep.
Big scorer.
Yeah. Speaking of scoring, the team that beat the Thunder, who we were talking about earlier, the Warriors, that was a little interesting game. Just in case some of y'all didn't see, Westbrook came in wearing his little photography bib, so that was a little shot at Durant, some people say. He said he got it in Madrid, but just overall, the Warriors looked incredible last night, and Westbrook did not come to play, but we've talked about Westbrook enough. Do you think that KD and the Warriors are going to continue that, or maybe they were just fueled a little bit by Westbrook coming back? KD looked like a man on a mission that game.
Yeah, I just feel like the whole Warriors philosophy was they kind of had that same team for a while now, like 3 or 4 years. So they're all used to playing with each other. And then when you sign someone like Durant, who needs the ball in his hands every possession, it kind of like changes your whole, like the way you have to play. Like Klay Thompson has to accept a lesser role, like a huge step down of a role. Steph Curry has to pass the ball to Durant more.
Steph hasn't even been, I mean, he's not doing badly, but I don't know exactly, but he can't be averaging that much above 20 a game, maybe. He's definitely taken a backseat to Durant, which I personally didn't expect.
Yeah, I mean, everyone knows it was Steph's team. Now it's Steph and Durant's team. Draymond, I feel like he's been pretty consistent with his role.
He's taking it well.
He's also, like you said earlier, bringing the ball up a lot more at the court, becoming a better defender because they did lose Festus and Spates and Bogut this offseason.
All
so
their big men.
They're going to need him to play a lot more center. But overall, I think they've been playing pretty well.
The one loss, and that was to the Spurs, who they're obviously a good team. They are every year. As long as Popovich is there, you got to think they're going to be like top 4 seed team. Not a top 4 seed team. The Pelicans. They're terrible, and they have possibly the best player in the NBA. Obviously, it's hard to say, but if I had to pick one player to start my franchise right now, I pick Davis, honestly. I mean, we don't have to agree on that. Leonard's obviously good. I just think Davis is once in a lifetime. And that lifetime, do you think he's going to spend it with the Pelicans? I mean, if I were Davis doesn't seem like that type of player to me. But, I mean, how long till he gets sick of it and just says, like, I need a trade. Like, I can't do this anymore. Obviously, he has the money, but he's going to want to win eventually. He went to Kentucky. That's a winning school. I mean, he's used to winning. This has got to be very tough for him, going out and scoring like 50 points a game, double-digit rebounds, steals, blocks, doing everything, and still losing.
Yeah. Buddy Hield, he's been okay.
They were hoping he would help him.
Yeah. I definitely can see them tanking for a top 3 seed next year in the draft. This draft is supposed to be really potent with really good talent.
Oh yeah.
So,
Harry Giles, I believe, is the big one of the big stars.
But then again, their entire team, I don't see much trade value around them. They have Omer Asik. He's still, I think he has 2 more years left on his contract. He's just been bad.
Yeah. Tyreek Evans. He's not bad, but he's been in the league a while, so it's not like he's no spring chicken. I mean, Look, I mean, the Pelicans, the one bright spot besides Davis is Tim Frazier, who's averaging over 10 a game.
Mm-hmm.
Assists, not points, assists. So he's responded well. But so do you agree? You think Davis will want to leave eventually, or not want to? I mean, obviously, I think every single person on that team wants to leave. But is he going to do something about it, or do you think he's just going to wait out his contract? And is there any chance of him re-signing?
Definitely don't see him resigning if they don't make the playoffs when his contract expires, which is very possible. They made the playoffs strictly because of him 2 years ago. Got swept by the Warriors, but still, making the playoffs is a big deal.
Yeah, especially for a new team, a new franchise like that.
Yeah, so I definitely could see him leaving. It's going to be a tough rest of the contract he has left, but I definitely could see him sticking with the rest. Maybe get traded at the deadline in the last year of his contract. But other than that, I definitely don't see him resigning again.
Yep, that would probably be a good move. Actually, trade him in the last year, then he could go into free agency and do what he wants. Speaking of free agency, one team that got a lot of free agents this year and were expected to play well, the Knicks, and they're not performing. 1-3. Porzingis, I mean, he's not terrible, but he hasn't been doing what he needed to. As, in my opinion, I think Porzingis, by the end of this year, will have to be ready to be the leader of this team. Obviously, Melo right now is still the focal point of that team, but no one's even talking about Melo anymore. We're talking about Kristaps hitting threes from the top of the wing. I mean, if he's doing that sort of stuff, then he's all that's going to be talked about, and he's got to be the leader of the team. And they're not doing well enough. He's not performing well enough to be a leader. Melo's doing his normal stuff, but Rose he's healthy. Good for him, but just overall that team isn't performing as well as they need to. The defense isn't great.
Defense, like we said, the beginning of the season, the depth was always going to be a problem for them. I feel like that's been showing.
Oh yeah, I remember there was one segment where Shaq, I believe, he was talking about he couldn't name one player on their bench, which I thought was funny, because one of them was Sasha Vujacic, who he played with.
Yeah, but I don't know.
It's a rough year for Knicks fans.
It's a rough year for Knicks fans. There's always the argument that the Knicks are the worst franchise in sports history because they're in New York. There's a lot expected from them.
I mean,
and in the past, I want to say, ever since Walt Frazier was on the team, Willie Reed, they haven't been good. They've only had one MVP player, and Willie Reed.
Ewing.
Ewing was good too.
But they didn't win a championship.
Yeah, they didn't win a championship. I don't think Ewing. Yeah, I don't think Ewing got an MVP.
No, I don't believe so. Yeah, I mean, they haven't been that great since Frazier and Willis Reed. So, they'll look to turn it around. Maybe they can sneak into the 8 seed. But I mean, if they keep playing like they have been, it's just going to be another year of disappointment, which they don't want to see after all of this. Arguably one of the most polarizing starting fives in the league. I mean, Rose and Noah were teammates. They were expected to bring that Chicago toughness to the team. Courtney Lee, good defender, and Kristaps and Melo obviously are great players doing things from the perimeter and inside, but they're just not performing, and that will upset Knicks fans. And Phil Jackson.
Yeah. To be honest with you, I'm not a huge Phil Jackson guy. I know that I'm a Bulls fan, but I really do believe that Phil Jackson's really only been good because he's had Kobe and Michael Jordan on his teams, and that kind of hinders how he was as a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And now he has the president role on the Knicks. Granted, I do think that the trade for Rose and Noah went in their favor, but from what it's been showing this season, kind of just seems like a bust move. But like we've always been saying, it's only the beginning of the season.
Exactly. couple more things that I think will only last for the beginning of the season. The Grizzlies, they have been hurt. They've been starting the likes of James Ennis and one of the Harrison twins, Andrew Aaron. I happen to forget which, unfortunately. Jermichael Green, players of that sorts, and they managed to pull out a 3-2 record right now. Do you think they could make the playoffs?
Yeah, they always do.
You don't sound too excited.
I mean, yeah, because I just feel like they're just like always there. Like they're like the Trailblazers. Like they're always in the playoffs, but like they're not gonna win. But the Grizzlies, Mike Conley, the highest paid player, was the highest paid player in the league. I still feel like he was worth the money, but with Gasol out, that doesn't help them.
Highest, like, really?
Contract-wise, yeah.
Not just this offseason?
Like bonus, yeah.
Oh, they got him with the bonus. Yeah. That is ridiculous. I am sorry to interrupt, but that is ridiculous that LeBron should be getting paid like $1 billion a year. Let's be real.
I mean, LeBron only has the 1-year deals. That's why. But he's kind of.
And he should get $1 billion for it.
I definitely could see the Grizzlies making the playoffs. Another team that I like, the Jazz. I feel like they didn't make the playoffs last year, but I could definitely see them being a top 4 team in the division, just with their play style and all the talent that they have on their team.
Especially if Hayward gets healthy.
Yep.
Just signed Gobert to that contract. So right now, I mean, they have a starting 5 when healthy of George Hill, Rodney Hood, Gordon Hayward, Derek Favors, Gobert. And that's a great lineup all around, especially with Hayward out, Hood's been trusted to start scoring. And, I mean, he can score. They also have Joe Johnson now. So, I mean, that's a good team. That's a great call by you.
Joe Johnson, Shelvin Mack, Trey Lyles.
Yep, Lyles. And not Bert, Dante Exum. I'm not sure how to say that. But Jazz are a good team, along with the Pacers. I think those are going to be the 2 biggest sleepers this year. I mean, that's what's going on around the NBA. I'm just going to end off on a little question I want to ask. The Cavs, I think, only undefeated team, defending champions, got to say they're the best team in the league right now. Warriors, I'd say, are probably the second best, just based on their talent, as you were saying before we started. Who do you think the third best team in the league is? Who do you think is going to... let me rephrase that. What team is most likely to spoil the Cavs-Warriors final matchup? Give me one from each division too, East and West, if you want.
West, you can't go against Popovich.
Okay.
Spurs, Kawhi, best player in the league, right? Or arguably the best player in the league right now.
He's playing out of his mind.
Yeah. In the East, I still have to go with the Pacers. The Cavs beat the Celtics pretty handily yesterday, so I would have to rule them out. But as of now, I'd have to go with the Pacers.
Okay, Celtics did have some injuries, though. Horford didn't play last night, and they kept it close to their credit for a decent amount of the game. But, I mean, that being said, I do agree. The Celtics aren't competing with the Cavs. Maybe in future years, but not this year. I would second that. I believe Pacers and Spurs, and like we were saying, don't sleep on the Jazz, solely because they're going to be able to defend with Gobert in there. Favors, I mean, he's not a polished defender, but he's still not the worst defender. Hayward's good all around, and I mean, they have the pieces. They have a good starting lineup. They have Johnson off the bench, a player who can create his own shot. I think they could possibly maybe even have a better record than the Spurs at the end of the year if they get it together. But possibly. I don't think it's going to happen with Kawhi playing how he is, but it's possible.
I just feel like with the Jazz playing style, they're kind of a slower playing style. The Spurs only lost so far this season, and they're playing again tonight. So we'll see how they play, how that game fares out.
See how that game fares out, and we'll see how the rest of the NBA season fares out. Obviously, only 4 games in. Before we go, just a little update. Raptors are up 67-55 with 6 minutes left in the third. So the Heat being not really the best offensive team, it hurts me to say it. I don't see them pulling this one out. So we'll just call the Heat 2-3 at this point, barring a huge comeback. Yeah, we'll need to improve if we're gonna defeat the Hornets next time we play them and in the standings. But that's for later in the season. This is what we have after the first 4 games. So before we jump to too many crazy conclusions, I think we can just leave it right there, and we'll pick up next week when we know a little bit more about the NBA, and hopefully when some of those Heat players are healthy, which will excite me. So for the first YouTube edition of If You Can't Take the Heat, I would just like to thank you, Josh, for coming.
Thanks, Jordan.
And it's that time of the show. It's getting a little bit hot, and if you can't take the heat, get out of my podcast.